I just finished watching both of the Smile movies again today. I seen the second one before, so I was just being like, you know what, I'm not bothered watching the second one. I was thinking, I do remember some clips. I was gonna be a little bit of a fraud, a little bit of a cop out, and go onto YouTube and just look at some clips because I haven't seen the first one, so I decided to give that one a watch, to get some notes and shit to see what the entity's like in the first movie. And then I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'll watch two movies in one day because you kind of have to just watch the movie to, remember what the entity's doing, and so you can get notes on that shit as well. I have basically like a load of shit written down from both movies. I have some pointers on my phone in case I, lose track of what I'm talking about. And can I just say, the entity, the villain in this, like in these two movies, might be one of the most powerful and one of the most OP demons I've ever seen in like a horror movie. Its hallucinations are fucking insane, and this guy does not hold back. This guy does not give a single fuck. Like the second he latches onto you, he'll immediately make you start seeing hallucinations from the day one. And it's actually pretty like it's tricky and slimy how the entity does this as well. Basically, the way the entity latches onto a victim is when basically someone will smile at you, like, give you a nice wide-eyed smile as if you're going to take their picture, and then they'll just start slicing their fucking face in half, or they'll start killing themselves, or start, like, hammering their head in whatever. There's actually one brutal scene of, like, some dude who was, like, ripping his own jaw off with a crowbar. Holy shit, man thought there's, like, a safe of gold behind his mouth. It's like some of the shit the entity does is brutal. And it's like you can't even see it coming or anything. It's like, what are you supposed to do? Because most people, like, unless your natural instinct when you're seeing gore or something disturbing is to look away or to run away, like, what are you supposed to do? Because a lot of people would also look in shock. They'd be like, what is happening? This guy's just killing himself in front of me. What do I do? Like, you'd be panicking. And the entity uses that to its advantage. Basically get a train wire into your body. So once you see someone kill themselves, the entity is now your new roommate inside of your brain, and he can do whatever you want. Also, this entity seems to be pretty much impossible to defeat. His hallucinations are so strong, it can get to a point where it could even, like, distort a whole reality for you. In, like, this scene, towards the ending scene in, like, Smile, when Rose finally goes to confront her demons. Basically, in the movie, Rose, her mad died of, like, drug use or whatever, and that's been on Rose's conscience her whole life. That trauma has been in her mind the whole time, and this is actually one of the things the demon does as well. What the demon will do is when he latches onto your brain, if you're not, like, happy or anything, if you're just not, full on pretending like sadness doesn't exist or whatever, and you have some unresolved problems in your mind, the demon will use that to its advantage. It'll constantly just, like, show you hallucinations of, like, your dead nan dying or whatever. It could even get into your dreams. There's actually a scene where, like, Rose, she goes into a hospital, she goes to stab a dude, and he just starts, like, smiling, laughing, barking back at her, and that was in her dream. Like, they will use, I don't know why I mentioned that, she has nothing to do with her trauma, but yeah, the demon will use its trauma against you to basically mentally break you down, and most victims, they can't survive past 5 days. The lucky ones, the ones that are, like, super mentally fortified, like they have a steel head like Ford from Gravity Falls, they're able to survive, I'd say, at most 7 days, like a week, I'm pretty sure. Because in the second movie, it started off with the main dude who's seen his ex-wife, just light herself on fire, turn into the Human Torch from Fantastic Four, and he got the entity passed on to him, but he already kind of knew what was up because his ex-wife kind of done all that work for him, all her panicking, all her, like, wanting to find out information, asking him questions. So he kind of just like, right, so my ex-wife basically told me what it is, and he's a police officer, so he has, like, access to, like, criminals, and he has access to, like, crimes also. He can, like, see the people who killed themselves, and it's like a chain reaction, always leads back to, like, someone. So he already knew what to do. But he still even managed to fuck it up. But I'm fairly sure with Lewis, he didn't fuck it up. He actually managed. He's the first person in the movies, I'm fairly sure. Actually, the second person. There's a black guy in prison who managed to get the demon away from him by killing someone else in front of another person. But he got locked up for life, probably. And then Lewis, he actually managed to pass on the demon to another drug dealer or junkie. Joel managed to pass on the demon to another junkie named Lewis, who accidentally saw it. That was by accident, by the way, so if Lewis was not there, Joel still would have been fucked. But then Joel ended up getting fucked anyway. He got crashed into, like, by a van as if he was big giant tomato man running, like the giant tomato head from Fortnite. He just splattered into blood. So you can beat it. It's just really tricky and hard. You'd have to figure out how to beat the entity in such a, like, short space of time. If you're, like, super depressed and all, if you're just really weak-willed, You basically have like 5 days. You have to figure out to defeat this entity in 5 days, by the way. And it's like, if you're starting from someone who knows absolutely none, that's gonna be really tricky, and you're probably gonna be fucked. You probably have a bigger chance if you're like Splinter or Shifu or whatever, someone who's like really, good in their side, their mind, they're able to, stay calm, they're not able to, panic or anything. You have at least 7 days. This entity as well, and like I forgot to mention, it can distort your whole reality. Towards the ending scene, actually, Rose, when she finally figured out, right, I'm gonna put an end to this. I'm gonna, stop the entity from feeding off of my brain. She goes to her house to confront her past. Pretty much, she sees her ma. The entity, transforms you to a big, tall ass, lanky woman with demonic look in her face. She gets thrown around for a bit, but then she smashes a lantern into the entity. The whole house goes boom. The whole house, goes on fire as if someone just left the stove on for way too long. And she thought she bought it. She thought she bet it. No, it turns out that was a hallucination, because then she goes all the way. This is insane, actually. These sequences of events. She goes all the way to Joel's place, to stay at her, be like, right, so I know I don't really like you. I just fucked you off at the hospital the other day, when you tried to say hi to me. But can I please just stay in your house, please? I need you to stay with me. And then he said, I'll stay with you forever, like a Siamese twin or something. So then she ended up just going out Joel's house, ended up going back out the gate that she was just already in. She never bet the entity anyway. That's something the entity will actually do in the movies, which I think makes it even more fucked and evil. The entity is not that type of demon. It's not really the type of demon to take his job really that seriously. He really likes to toy with his victims to kind of break them down more, or it's just fun to him because she done that with Rose, making her think she, defeated him. But in the second movie as well, when Sky Riley, she met this dude named Morris, and they were chilling at a bar. He's basically been tracking the demon ever since he killed his brother, and he got it led up to Sky, and he knows how. He has like a theory. He pretty much had a theory on how to beat the demon. What their plan was is that they were gonna stop her heart for a bit, and then stop it for just enough time so that the demon basically ceases to exist, because theoretically I think this would make sense as well. The demon has to kill itself in front of other people for it to spread. It's basically like a parasite. But if you kill it in an isolated room, if you just put down the blinds and shit and just completely isolate yourself, like in a padded room in an asylum or whatever, and you just kill yourself then and there, who is the demon going to spread to? Is he going to spread to the couches? Is he going to spread to an object or whatever? The demon can't do shit. It has to stay with you, and therefore the demon will probably starve and just die out. That's what they were going to do. That's what they were pretty much going to do. Kill her when there was no one else around. But that also didn't work. The demon, it's like the entity. It's like the entity is in your mind, so he knows your every single move, every single thing that you think. So beating it would just be really hard. So when they got to the freezer as well, Sky Riley, Morse just left him for whatever reason. I don't know, bro. Just left the brick open in the door and just all right, see you. I'm just gonna go, have a smoke or whatever. I need to take a shit, something like that. So she's there waiting for Morse to come back. She sees blood raining from this blood dripping from the ceilings, raining blood, Slayer reference. And then she looks up and sees herself from her past self, chilling on the ceiling. Because in this second movie, Sky Riley, she basically got in a car crash with her boyfriend because she done a line of cocaine, and her boyfriend done a line of cocaine when he was driving. Yeah, big brain move right there, buddy. And then she started just started getting mad at him, basically saying, "Oh, I'm a psych. You want to see Psycho?" Just starts attacking her and on. He just rage baits her, and then she causes the car to crash. And that's basically what trauma she's suffering from in the second movie. So she sees her past self from when she got fucking obliterated by a car. She tried to obliterate herself, and the demon actually, it does hallucinations, but some of the hallucinations can actually physically touch you, physically attack you. In this scene, in the freezer scene, the demon just started ragdolling her about the place, just started chucking her about the place like casual horror villains. To play with their victims instead of just grabbing their neck and snapping it straight away. Why do you have to throw them about the place? You're going up to this person to kill him, you grab him, and you just throw him fucking further away. It's like me dropping my phone, right, and then I walk back again and be like, right, I'm glad I got this. Just throwing that shit away. What's the point? Just kill him then and there. So the demon starts toying around with her, but gets on top of her like she's gonna, start fucking her. So she puts her thumbs in Sky Riley's mouth and she bites that shit off. She puts the needle in her neck to basically I can't remember what the needle does. She's like supposed to like stop her heart, and I think it's something to do with the temperature where it won't lead to like permanent brain damage. Whatever. She thinks she bet it because she managed to inject the needle. The entity, is blurring out, but when her vision focuses again, the entity is still there. She didn't beat the entity, and then the doors close on her. She ends up being on stage, and this is in front of a huge fucking live audience, a huge crowd, because in this one she's a singer, and she's supposed to be performing like live on stage in front of everyone. And she just, bludgeons the microphone into her skull. The entity made her use the microphone as like made her use the skull as a microphone holder. Also, the entity's design in the second one, I say, is a lot more scarier and creepier than the first one. The first one basically is just a tall, lanky woman. The second one is a big, tall, eldritch, like skin human abomination. So yeah, even when you think you bet the entity, it still just toys with you. It's still just like, right, so you bet me? No, you fucking didn't. It just wanted to play around with you, pretty much. Also, I mentioned it's hallucination, being able to physically attack you throughout both of the movies. The entity doesn't really do anything physical. It doesn't really physically attack you. It doesn't like possess you, make you claw your fucking eyes out or whatever. But it will attack you through like hallucinations of like other people. So like in the first one, an example would be like when the therapist showed up to Rose's house, and then the therapist rang her on the phone when the therapist was already there and be like, "Hang on, did you just like clone yourself real quick when you come here? Do you have like a cloning station back at the gaff? Like what's going on here?" So then the hallucination, the fake therapist starts attacking. Well, doesn't really attack her, but is still able to physically touch her. Like walks towards her and just like grabs her face and just starts salivating, like, "It's almost time, Rose." She's like fucking wanting to eat her or something. In the second movie, she does actually the same in the towards the ending of the first movie. He's throwing her about the place. It's super strong. In the second movie, I thought this is probably my favorite scene in the second movie. I'm not gonna lie. When I was first watching this, I was thinking, this is fucking nuts. This is crazy. It's kind of giving me chills because it's just so creepy and like airy. I thought it was a pretty well done scene. Sky Riley goes to meet Morris because Morris told her to meet at like this frozen pizza, just abandoned pizza or whatever, because that's where the freezer was, where she was gonna get frozen originally. So she goes up to pack her shit. She does a little bit of crashing up by smashing a shower glass thing, and then when she goes to leave the gaff, all her backup dancers are there. They all showed up to her, give her like a nice surprise. They decide to lock and be like, right, so fuck doing the dance rehearsals at this other location. We're gonna do it right at your place. We need to lock in this shit. This shit is not a game. So the dancers showed up to her gaff pretty much, and they're all smiling at her. That's actually the one thing you would be able to tell if something's kind of not real or not. That's like one of the only indications you will get. If the demon, but I'm pretty sure the demon just does this just to fuck with you. If the person's just smiling unnaturally, like just for no reason at you, that's that person. That's a hallucination. All those dancers are smiling, and then when Sky Riley tries to run away, she ends up running into a room with more backup dancers. And those dancers, the way they're running after her is like so creepy. It's like an eldritch creature or some shit. It's like a big, massive ass Lovecraftian creature, but it's like all made up of like arms and legs and shit like everywhere. It's pretty creepy the way the dancers were running after her. And so then she just starts getting thrown about the place. It's like they're fighting over her, be like, she's mine, she's gonna live with me. No, she's actually mine. It's like she's basically getting thrown about the place. She gets her head slammed into a piano. They're like, yeah, you need to practice up on your piano there. And then they rip a chunk of her hair out, and one of them, this is just disgusting, one of them, like, they get her on the ground, one of them just starts fisting her throat. They just start shoving their whole entire arm down her throat. I'm like, holy shit, man. She'd be able to please a man in more ways than one. It's like getting your whole arm down her throat is insane. And I've seen like people saying as well, at this point, she was possessed, which would make sense. Also, the whole thing with her distorting her reality as well. This is probably the craziest thing in the second one as well. In the second one, the demon gets to a point where it just completely fucks with her whole reality. Like, it completely makes everything, and she starts going insane. Like, so if she's in the hospital, her ma's there, she's like, right, we're gonna stay here all night until tomorrow, pretty much. And then her ma just starts getting doing a hallucination. She kills herself in front of Sky, and then makes her have the shard, make it look like she killed her. So then she leaves the hospital, and she robs someone's van. Gemma is there, her best friend, and then they're driving off in the car. They're driving away. Everything seems grand. And then Gemma, out of fucking nowhere, just rings her and is like, hang on, who's this? All these people are crazy with their clones. They just have cloning stations back to their gaffs, it seems like. And then the real Gemma was on the phone, and Gemma earlier on in the movie stayed over at Sky Riley's house. I keep saying her full name. And stayed over at Sky's house because she needed, a friend to talk to, and she hasn't talked to her in so long because they had like a big ass argument. It's like, you're a stinky old bitch. I don't want to talk to you ever again. Don't know why she didn't block her number, but yeah. Turns out when Gemma was staying at Sky's house, she was never staying there at all in the first place. She never even met Gemma or anything. She was just talking to herself. She's actually just losing her mind. Like, her ma didn't interact with her, which was an indication, I'd say. And no one else seemed to, acknowledge her existence. So when she's driving the car, or when Gemma's driving the car, Gemma, reveals to her, like, I'm in control, actually. You're not, I didn't. None of this is real. So then, Sky Riley basically is like, no, this is real. I'm in control. So then she's driving the car, and classic woman driver. She ends up making people nearly fucking crash and fuck up on the road. So yeah, that was insane. I thought that revelation was so crazy in the movie. When Gemma came from like the start of the movie to like the end, Gemma was never real. That was all the entities doing. If that's the case, holy shit, this entity is insanely. This entity is like an insane a demon. Also, the entity kind of does this thing. The entity is pretty smart. It'll do this thing where like it'll isolate you pretty much. It'll make it so you can't get any help. Now in the second one, I feel like Sky was already kind of fucked because her mom basically kind of saw her as a wind-up toy, as she saw, because all she really gave a shit about was like Sky performing, all making money, making cash, because her mom was the manager. Josh couldn't really give two shits about her. She's just like her assistant, and that she already lost her best friend, and she pretty much had no one else to go to as well. And basically, this demon does it so like it'd be harder for you to figure out its weakness, harder for you to defeat it. This happens to Rose as well. Actually, the demon makes her like hallucinate. So the demon. He also does this thing where he can like possess you temporarily to do something that you don't really remember. So at the start of the movie, she does this with Lewis. Lewis texts her, be like, "Yo, come on, we can like sniff coke together or whatever." And she shows up, and then Lewis is like, "Hey, hang on, I never sent you a text. What are you talking about?" It's pretty funny because he just whips out a large ass katana like he's a ninja turtle. He puts it up to his neck. It's affected Lewis a lot. He's been panicking. So yeah, the demon can possess you, and with Rose, she had like a pet cat, and the cat's name was Mustache, pretty funky name. And she was supposed to. She goes to her sister's house because it's her nephew. It's her sister's son's birthday, and when she shows up there, she's supposed to give her like a little choo choo train, Thomas the Tank Engine. But instead, the son ends up finding like a dead fucking a cat, as if her auntie, as if Rose is like a taxidermy and just sold her one of her products. Be like, yeah, it's cool. You can like put that up on your wall. It's like a dead cat in a box. Traumatized everyone. The sister, drove her away because she thought Rose was going insane. A-Train also drove her away because she would just, freak out in the dark when she saw something in the darkness and all. And she also like had a blade and all. It's like A-Train is just like, I can't be really bothered with this shit anymore. She confided into him, but he also called the therapist over at the house. Without even her knowledge or her permission, so it's like he already was not trusting her at all. And yeah, basically that's pretty fucked up. This demon will make you go crazy. This demon will make you go like all on your own as well. And yeah, where's my phone? Oh yeah, shit, I threw my phone. But yeah, pretty much that's the demon from Smile, and from both of the Smile movies. Pretty OP demon, pretty insane, and pretty just evil. It really just likes to play around with you as if it's controlling you like you're a puppet on strings. But yeah, I thought the villain was pretty cool. I really did like the movies. I didn't see the first one. First one I was watching, it did kind of seem boring, but then I watched it. I would understand why people like it. I thought it was pretty decent. It was still pretty good. The second one is just a big step up from that one though. So yeah. Anyways, that was me talking about the demon from Smile movies. See you later.